part of the hobby can be a chore. Getting an army ready for the tabletop can be sometimes difficult and disheartening. However, we've put some bases together, we've got a theme. Now, let's elaborate on that and apply it to the Chaos Knights. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Wayne. Thanks for joining me again. I'm going to be working this time on my Chaos Knights. We've got the warriors out of the way, and we're going to take that process and we're just going to mix it up a little bit, add some new elements to it, and do pretty much the same thing on the Chaos Knights. Utilizing that strong base theme that we developed a couple of videos back, we're going to get the majority of the chaff units out of the way in this step. If you've not seen the previous videos, hold on, I'll wait here. You go back and have a watch of those. Certainly, it's really worth having a look at how I've established the basing theme. And if you've not seen the Chaos Warriors and you're interested in how I painted the Chaos Knights, definitely check that video out because it's going to cover a lot of the same ground that we're going to cover here. And in fact, to keep the video nice and succinct, what I'm going to do is start off halfway through the process because it's going to be exactly the same as what I did in that video. Okay, well, that said, let's do a little bit of housekeeping first. This is going to be the third or fourth video in the series, depending on where it lands. And I'm going to be working through the entire Slaves to Darkness range that's currently available. Getting the cavalry out of the way is really going to help us get that army on the tabletop and hopefully ready for some games really fast. The only thing we've got left to do after this is the Chaos Chariot. Now, that's going to be a little bit of a different video, but you'll have to come back for that. Okay, you've listened to me talk enough. If you're enjoying this video though, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And if you are enjoying this process, let me know down in the comments. I'd be really interested to see what you guys are creating as well. Okay, right, let's have a look at what we did in terms of process and see how we ended up. Building these knights wasn't fun. Building 10 of them was even less fun, but we'll get through it. And once we're done with building them, then we have to do what we normally do. And previously, we've just primed everything black, much like we did with the Chaos Warriors, and we're literally going to follow most of the same steps for the majority of this model. Once I primed it black, I dry brushed it with that warm grey that we used in the Chaos Warriors video. If you've not watched that, do have a look. Then the next thing that we're going to do is exactly the same as in that video too. We're going to get a dark gunmetal and we're going to dry brush all of the armor on both the horse and of the Chaos Warrior. Certainly on the horse, make sure that you get all of the raised trim because we will be coming back in later and re-establishing the black. For the warrior, just be careful that you don't go too far off-piste and make sure you wear all of the armor. As I said, in the Chaos Warrior video, we've got a theme that we can use on pretty much all of our armored models all the way through this army build. We're going for efficiency with this one, guys. And the dry brushing fun's not going to stop there. The next thing we're going to do is get that brass, and we're going to do another selective dry brush. Just pick out whatever parts of the model seem cool to you. I've gone with some of the chaos symbols, the front of the horse's armor, and another couple of points of interest around it. It's entirely up to you, rule of cool. Okay then, right, next step. This is where we deviate from the previous Chaos Warrior. What we're going to do is we're going to come in with some black contrast. I'm using Black Templar here, and I'm just going to re-establish the blacks on the armor panels, leaving the highest points of the trim, that silver color that we did in the first dry brush step. This is going to give us a bit of a contrast between the knight and the actual horse. Just make sure you pick out all of the armor panels. It's going to take you a little while, so just sit back, relax, and get through it. Just trust the process though, because we're going to do exactly the same thing again with some Gorgrunt fur, a nice warm brown, and we're going to use that as we did with the Chaos Warriors on the furs, but we're also going to use it on the horse. All of it. Every part of the horse here I'm going to cover with this Gorgrunt fur. Again, take your time, you don't want to miss any bits of there, making sure you get the face, the legs, and the bits of fur. Also don't forget the tail. any other details on this model that I can pick out in this colour, I want to. There's no point in overcomplicating it with loads of different colours. Remember, I'm going for a desaturated look. I want to make the model as dark but as interesting as possible, because we're going to come in later on with that pop of colour. Remembering too that the base is going to play a big part in how this model looks on the tabletop. A really good piece of advice here is just because a model's got a detail doesn't mean you have to pick it out and have it on show. Right, next step then, again, like with the Chaos Warriors, we're going to use Snakebite Leather contrast paint, thinned down a little bit, and we're going to use that on all of the elements that we want leather. The cape, the reins, any leather strapping, any other kind of leather detail that you find on these models, this is the colour that we're going to use for that. It gives us a nice juxtaposition between the warm brown of the fur, and also it's going to help really play off against the darker wildwood that we're going to use in the next step. Now this is going to be used on other elements that we don't want to be too warm, but we want to keep that desaturated colour scheme. So any of the material on the horse, I don't know what these are called, I'm not a horse person, but like this drape thing that's going over the horse and the saddle itself, and any other elements that you find on there, so any kind of ropes, anything like that, just to give a little bit of contrast between the different browns, and it's looking great as it is. Right, we're almost there, guys. We're getting through this nice efficient paint scheme. Right, back to something that we did with the Chaos Warriors, and we're going to continue to do throughout this entire army, is we're going to use a thinned down blue ink just to add another pop of colour and tie the armour together with something other than the pink glow that we're getting from the bases and the eyes. We're going to use this little pop of blue to play off against the warmth of that pink. We want to bring some coolness to it and a little bit more visual interest. Now when this dries, it's going to look very, very subtle indeed. So I use it on the weapon handles and just to glaze over the shield a little bit. I have gone a little bit heavier here than I would have done perhaps on the Chaos Warriors, and the reason for that is I wanted to draw a point of difference between the Knights and the Varangard when we paint those later on. And once we've done this step, we're pretty much there. All we've got left to do is a standard glow, which you should have already seen how to do that in one of the previous videos, and I've done a standalone video talking just about how to get a different glow effect. And with that, once that's done on the model, we're pretty much there. All we need to do is get on its base, and we should be in a good place to move on to the next lot of units. I can't say I had much fun painting these, to be honest. I don't like painting cavalry units. I just don't know what it is. That's just me, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it a little bit more than me, at least. I think you'll find that this has been a fast and efficient paint scheme, and it's helped get these to the tabletop in pretty much the fastest time I think I've achieved so far, with something that looks more than tabletop quality and won't put you to shame when you get your forces on the battlefield. Right, let's take a look at them then, shall we, and see what we think. And there we have it. I think you'll agree that we ended up with something that looks pretty good. It's certainly tabletop standard. It's not going to win any painting competitions by any means, but it certainly does have a presence on the tabletop. And more importantly, it was very simple to achieve, building on those steps that we learned. And now we've got these out of the way, it's onto that Chaos Chariot. After that, we'll get the spawn out of the way, and we should be ready to move on to some of the elite units. And that's not going to be much more difficult than this. We're going to take this same process and we're going to do exactly what we've done before. We're going to elaborate on it, so we're going to have just a couple of different steps. I hope you come back and join me for that. If you've enjoyed the video, do let me know, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. See ya!